Good evening. Today is obviously January the 3rd, 2023, and this is the televised and Zoom meeting for the PAC Acquisition Corporation for Marin Valley Mobile Country Club. We have a regular meeting every first Tuesday when possible of each month. And before we begin, I'd like to introduce myself as President, Jay Shelfer, and Vice President is John Hanson.
Happy New Year. And the secretary is?
That's me, Carol Joy Harris. Secretary and treasurer is?
Hi, I'm Steve Cloker. I am the treasurer and the chairman of the finance committee. Vicki?
Hi, everybody. I'm Vicki Wydell, and I am the person at large.
Hi. Okay, I'd like to call for the approval of the final agenda.
I'll make that motion.
I have a second.
Steve seconded it.
I seconded it.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Steve. Any questions about that?
I have a comment. I made a mistake. The determine of the next PAC board meeting, it says Tuesday, February 6th. It should say Tuesday, February 7th.
Thank you.
So I moved to
Approve.
correct the minutes as saying February 7th.
With that correction, call for approval. All in favor?
Aye.
5-0. And now I'd like to open the meeting for public comment for those residents or individuals who would like to make a public comment to the PAC board meeting. I see Carol Joy.
Okay. I have heard, and I have not read the documentation, that there are new parts of the Brown Act. The Brown Act was kind of not suspended, but changed during the pandemic, that people, public agencies could have meetings via Zoom, which we have been doing for since whenever we started, March 2020 or something like that. And we also have had the meetings televised for people who cannot or do not go physically to the clubhouse and who cannot or do not Zoom. So those people, and people tell me when I'm around the park, oh, I'm so glad that that your meetings are on television so that I can watch it from my living room when you're doing it. Okay. I have heard that there are new parts to there is a new part to the Brown Act that public agencies starting, and I think it might be as soon as February or March, certainly, have to have their meetings either in person or a hybrid meeting. If you're going to do it via Zoom, it has to be in person and Zoom. My suggestion is that if and when we start meeting at the clubhouse, it would not be a problem to do a hybrid meeting because we can just set up a camera and have that camera be in the room. We can make a recording like we do now of the Zoom meeting, send that to the cable company, Channel 26, and have them air it in a specific slot, like, I don't know, the next night or something. And that we would publicize this in Echo, saying, telling all the residents that if you don't go in person and if you don't Zoom in, you can watch this meeting every whatever the slot is that Channel 26 can give us, so that those people can also access it. It wouldn't be in real time, but I'm thinking that those are the people who don't or can't go onto the computer and watch the recording later on YouTube or on our website. So that is my suggestion. And since, one last thing, I don't know if I've reached my 3 minutes, but since this is procedural, we can discuss that here rather than just have it be a comment that is not, that we can't, because of the Brown Act, that we cannot discuss.
So you're saying we can discuss it at this time, in this moment?
Because it's procedural, yes.
Do you agree with that, Michelle?
I agree with the statement. I was just, Michelle Rodriguez, 9 Fallen Leaf. I was just going to recommend, since we're talking about the Bradley-Keene Act, that we get the language on the changes so that we know what we're talking about. And I'm happy to get that either from the Institute of Local Governments or state clerk's office or something like that. So we're just accurate from that standpoint, and then whatever you choose to do at that point. And so I'm happy to do that, or Carol can do that.
Oh, that would be fabulous. If you know how to do that quickly, that would be great. And then if you could just send it to all 5 of us on the board and Matt, that would be wonderful. Thank you. And then, and so maybe, Jay, I'm sorry for butting in, but maybe pursuant to that, we should just talk about this at the February meeting, which until we get any notification from the city or anybody else in, otherwise, we'll just, I'm assuming, just go ahead and have the February meeting like this one.
Exactly. And since Michelle is going to get us the actual copy so we can review it, then we'll actually see whether we need to agendize to talk about it. So let's just wait until we get more information.
Perfect.
Okay, is there someone else who would like to pass some public comment? I see Ellen's hand raised.
Ed Collins has his hand up too also.
Yeah, I saw Ellen's hand up. I just saw Ed Collins in the cloud.
Okay, should I speak?
You may speak, Ellen.
I'll
Please.
speak. I'll go first, Ed, okay? Hi. I've noticed the last couple of times that you start before 6. I don't know if that, I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Like today it was 5:58, and you've been doing that. You've been starting before 6. I just wanted to let you know in case you didn't. I'm just going by the computer time or the iPad time. So my question, my comment refers to last month I misspoke, and I spoke up during the issue was lighting, and in my mind it was relevant to something that I've spoken about before, and that is the tripping hazards at the bumpers in front of the parking spaces in front of the clubhouse. Sorry, my back hurts and I'm rambling.
Ellen, may I interrupt? Is this about the minutes?
No.
Okay.
No.
Sorry.
It's not. No. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the minutes were accurately transcribed as far as I can tell. My statement was it was wrong of me to bring it up when we were discussing lighting, because I don't have an issue with the lighting. I was thanking Matt for, making attention to the lighting. But then my mind went to what I've talked about many times in the past, is the tripping hazards. And I was glad that striping was put on one side of those bumpers, but it wasn't on the other side. I don't know what's holding up to just put that tape on the other side of the bumpers. And that was, let's see. Yeah, because I had suggested striping them or brightly painting them, but I was told that the city would not approve them. So now I'm happy to see that one side of the bumpers have been designated as alert. And I wish that they could just put it on the other side. And it was relative. Oh, I'm sorry, my back's killing. And it was relative to the danger that those bumpers presented, and not anything to do with lighting, because I'm during the day is when I see it, but it's a hazard at night too. So anyway, if that could be addressed, and that's my Oh, sorry. I'm sorry for being so long-winded, but that's
Thank
what
you, Ellen. Thank you.
I wanted to say. Yes, you're welcome. Thank you.
Ed Collins.
So I have a question about the clubhouse events policy. And the only reason I'm bringing it up right now is I have two friends that are getting married in May, and they approached me about using the clubhouse. And I've talked with Matt about this, so I don't want to step anybody's toes, but they need to know pretty soon whether or not it's possible to use the clubhouse. Matt responded to me saying it was highly discouraged, which means he didn't say it couldn't happen, but I'm a little confused about a private event and resident sponsored event. It says private event is an activity sponsored by an individual or resident or a group of residents with attendance by invited guests. And I know people have had birthday parties and things, so I was told that that was not really something that they wanted to have happen. But I thought that if I was going to sponsor my friends and I was going to be at the wedding, that the clubhouse could be used for that. So I'm just trying to get clarity either from Matt, who's here, or the board members about whether that's even possible, and whether it's just highly discouraged or whether it's not allowed. It's an event that I would be at, and they would of course pay any fees and any insurance or anything that would happen to it. And I was understanding that if a private event sponsored by me is legal and possible. So I don't know if the board can touch, or Matt just wants to talk more about it. And they need to know in the next week or two. The only reason why I brought it up right now.
Okay, thank you, Ed. Why don't we take that under advisement and look into it? I'm sure the point being that we don't really want to bring outside events into the clubhouse just because there's tangential relationships among the residents. But I mean, it's certainly worthwhile looking into, and I don't have any answer for it. And I think we'll refer that to Matt, and he can get back to you within the next day or two.
Okay, that'd be great. That's all I would like.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to the consent calendar, and I'd like to call for approval of the minutes from the December 6th meeting.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Any comments? Any comments from residents? Call for approval. All in favor of accepting those minutes?
Aye.
5-0. Thank you very much. Moving on to reports. Matt Greenberg, maintenance and capital projects, including information on water usage, energy usage, light and street parking lighting. Matt?
Good evening. I have a pretty short report, generally done with most of our work by this time of the year. I do have we've been working on a pretty large concrete block wall throughout the season, and it's just about finished. It's an engineered wall with a lot of concrete and block, a lot of drainage, very close to being done. The water usage is down 31% from last year at this time.
Wow.
Which is really good. And I still attribute that to several of the leaks that we fixed that were just ongoing.
Wow.
We have installed the reflective caution tape on the clubhouse side of the parking bumpers where we thought that, and where we understood that residents were having trouble leaving the clubhouse. And I guess a gal fell and tripped over one of the bumpers. We have also ordered new lighting that's going to be added to the existing low voltage system that we have out front. Problem being for real lighting is that we don't have any 110 power out there, and it's kind of a big deal to get that power to trench out there, requires some permits, and actually have it designed, and then what type of lighting to put in that's not something that's going to influence the night sky for the folks that live up on View Ridge or right in the front of the clubhouse. But that would still have down lighting to focus more on the walkway. We've been kind of plagued with that for a long time. That's why there's the string lights that go down the fence on both ways. It's just kind of a difficult situation, but there are going to be extra. We did put extra lights at the exit of the clubhouse that's nearest to the big pine tree, which would be the southern corner of the clubhouse. But the lights that we ordered for the pathway that will be in addition to what's there have not come in yet, but we did order them through Strom Lighting and they're going to be installing them. It should help out. We talked to Marvell and offered to buy headlamps or small flashlights for the residents that we can still do, with some mixed comments in regards to, I don't know if we need them, or people may bring their own, or people may not want them. But if it was a continuing problem, it seems like once or twice a year, there's somebody that falls out front when they're leaving pub late, and they either go to the left or the right from the clubhouse, and it is dark at night, and they trip. So we're happy to go that route as well. But like I said, we had mixed comments from Marvell whether or not we should get them or not. Aside from that, the guys are completely finished with cleaning all of the concrete and earthen V ditches surrounding the park and all of the catch basins in the park. They all were cleared over the years with leaf blowers, but not really shoveled out and cleaned out as they should be. And I think with this last storm, they look really clean. So there was a lot of water that was running through them. And even though we still see some pooling water, and I have gotten calls from 2 or 3 residents that did have quite a bit of water come down around their home or didn't drain properly and had water under their home. All in all, throughout the last storm, we did fairly well. And I'm looking forward to seeing how we do now in the next coming days when there's going to be more weather coming in. But some of the older homes have French drains or no French drains that if they're there and they are old, they're not working properly or they're plugged. And we only get $25,000 a year in the budget to install these type of drains, and that also includes cleaning the V ditches. So we try to get as many of them put in as possible, but realistically, we get 2 or 3 max, and then we come to budget. Aside from that, unless you have any questions, board, that'll conclude my report.
I
Yes,
think-
Carol Joy.
I'm sorry, did you address energy usage? You said water usage. What about?
I don't have an energy report. The park has one bill for gas and electric, and then, as you know, the residents are sub-metered. I really can't give an accurate report with the extra usage or what we use. I know that December was very cold, and a lot of the residents have come to me. I was in the office today and had very high gas usage or very high electric usage. And they're generally residents that have older homes with little or no insulation. And they don't recognize that when the furnace is left on, because they need to be warm, it can get quite expensive. So we try to help any and all to get into the CARE program, where you can get 20 to 30% off of your utility bills. And still, we have people that come in today. I helped 2 people sign up that didn't know about it. And one of them has lived here for 12 years. So it's still encouraged. It's a really good program, and it's valuable to those that need it. But as far as our utility use, it was up in December. Gas and electric was up quite a bit.
Okay, but you don't have an aggregate number?
I don't.
Oh, okay. Well,
I can't
then,
really develop one because we have our main meters, but it would take quite a bit of work to determine and cut out what's used by the residents and try to figure out what's used at the clubhouse. I mean, I can estimate, and I've done it before when we had the questions about the spa being heated all
Oh,
year.
yeah.
But I don't know if it was as accurate. I was a little bit negligent, and I think that it was very close, but not 100% accurate because it's just an educated guess.
Okay, well then, for next month's agenda, I'll just take out energy usage because it's not going to happen. Okay, thank you.
John, do you have any questions for Matt? No? Okay, Vicky, do you have any questions?
No?
Steve?
No,
Matt, you know, that care program is so good. Can you make a note to advertise that in your report in the next month's Echo and give people references to it and how they, you know, just generally how they can apply for it and what are the parameters? I think it's what the yearly income of the individual
It
and
is.
whatever.
I'm required to advertise it twice a year. And I think, I'm pretty sure it actually is coming out in January that I already put it in, but we do put it out twice a year and I talk to people about it quite often. I'm happy to do it again or do it more
just
often.
reports
if
that
need
got
be.
trashed.
Yeah, I would just double check, you know, because obviously this is current in the sense that it's going to be inclement for a while and people can take advantage of it. The other thing is on the street lighting, you know, we do have poles for street lighting, and you have started the process of renewing the incandescent lights with LEDs. And that kind of street lighting that is shaded so that the residents wouldn't be impacted by the street lighting, but the streets would be illuminated. I'm sure you have looked at it, but can you keep that in mind so that whenever you have enough funds to replace them, that's in fact what you do utilize? Is there any such thing around the clubhouse, for example?
No.
Yeah.
The lighting that's been a concern is the pathway lighting, but we do have a box of LED lights that we use to replace the existing street light bulbs. And we have several colors. We like to use 2700, which is more of a warm white, so that if somebody has a cataract problem, it's not too bright, because the 3000s or the 3500s are just an extreme white. But yeah, we try to use them, but a lot of the residents don't like them because where the type of lamps that we generally have, the lights emanated from 4 sides. And a lot of times it will either shine into a resident's home or we try to block it out with some kind of foil on that side. But our lighting's pretty old and it's something that we're working with regularly.
Yeah, and that's the point, that when you do have to, or you have the opportunity to replace it ones that are shaded so that it doesn't go into people's homes.
You mean downlights?
Yeah,
Yeah, downlights, yeah.
yeah, downlight and directed to the road surface rather than a wide light that would illuminate the houses on that street.
We have very few downlights. I think there's only 2 or 3 that are actually solar lights that we've installed where the power is broken and we can't get power to all the lines are direct burial, so they're, you know, slowly one by one failing. The downlights that are the solar lights are actually really nice. They have a nice light to them, but they're very bright.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Matt. And residents, I think John Felt or Irma had their hand up.
Yes, I wanted to ask Matt about the, in conjunction with the care program, there's also one with the Las Colinas Valley Sanitary District. Are we part of that? I can't remember now.
I looked
And
at
if
that
so-
actually today. There was another resident that came up that was discussing it with me who lives down on Clubview. I have a feeling that that just applies to single family residences, not multifamily accounts. But she is going to apply for it. And once she puts her application together, I'm going to help her. And we're going to see if that's something that we can get. And if so, we'll put the word out for all and, you know, everybody to join up.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Ellen, you're muted.
No, I'm not. Yeah, Matt, you brought up again about the tripping hazard, which again, it's not a nighttime thing that I'm concerned about. I'm concerned particularly, specifically about like the rolling route. People trip on both sides of the bumper. So I'm not sure why you can't stripe both sides, because people coming from their cars also. And when they turn around from the rolling route, they trip over the bumpers. So is that stuff really expensive or something? Can't you just stripe them all the way and on the top?
No, we would be happy to put them on the other side. I didn't know that they were a tripping hazard during the day. But generally the rolling route parks over there by the gym and the bumpers that are over there. Sure, we can put some on for you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, because yeah, I'm like Lisa, I believe in the night sky and having access. I mean, not me, Lisa, Michelle. Yeah, so that would be great. The more stripes, the better, because people are talking to each other and they're coming from their cars. They're going to the, thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Matt? Okay, let's move on to the PAC Treasurer's Report. Steve Flusher.
Okay, the PAC petty cash bank account is $2,193 in it. We rarely spend any of that money, so it kind of sits there about that amount. Our PAC annual budget, as part of the park finances, our budget is $4,000. To date, in this fiscal year, we've spent $1,005. Well, $1,006. That's 1005.93. And that's for 5 months. So we're kind of under budget, which that's good, I guess. I don't have a finance report regarding the DSCR because the city took $359,000 out of our checking account in payment of owner expense. Now that is usually what we call when they pay for things for our park, like financial and clerical work done at their offices for our benefit, and probably in recent years, a lot of engineering. And I know we had a report from them, 10 or 12 months ago about, I think Carol Joy and Serena got it, where they were listing a lot of expenditures that they were going to bill us for, and that never quite happened. Well, it looks like it has happened, but we have no explanation of what it is or what periods it applies to. So I suspect that a lot of it is capital expense, engineering fees, but I have no explanation. So I can't do anything with that number as far as, does it belong in the current month? Probably not. Where does it belong and when? So I'm waiting to hear about that, and hopefully I can come up with a more accurate projection of a report that will include that more accurately next month.
Thanks, Steve. I'm on the finance committee as well. And Steve mentioned this to me, and I've emailed the city, and I've actually discussed it with Matt today. And it seems to be a mislabeled account, because there are some expenses that Matt's aware of that would cause them to draw money out of our accounts, but not for necessarily this kind of administrative expenses, but real expenses for work that's being done. So when we get an answer for that, we'll make it more clear next month, but it has been passed on to the city, and Matt and I are both looking at it. But thanks for bringing it to our attention, Steve.
Yeah.
Is there any other comments for Steve from the board? Any resident?
I would just like to say that, you know, as I recall, we almost never get, you know, an accounting of those extractions. And that would really be nice to, you know, if there was accounting on that rather than just a money that was taken out and given some, you know, some sort of label that really doesn't mean anything to us.
Joy?
They sorry, they have been 2 or 3 years behind in detailing the administrative expenses, and this might be they're catching up.
That's fine.
But I
Yep.
don't know. But they also promised to detail what it's for. It would be nice to know. I mean, $300,000.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
a little heads up and explanation. They appreciate our feedback and our participation in the financial discussions, but we can't say anything when we get something like that dumped on us.
Yeah. So we'll see.
We're going to talk a little bit more about this in the 2x2 discussion, because we did have some conversations about similar items, and we may be able to clarify it a little bit from what we learned in the 2x2, which is coming up after this finance report. So any other comments from either residents or from the board? Seeing none, let's move on to the 2x2 meeting between Carol Joy and Matt with the city this past month. So you want to start off, Carol Joy?
Okay, we did have a 2x2 meeting, and as you know, they're quarterly, so every month we don't have something to report about that, but we do this month. In the 2x2 meeting in December, we met Kate Wan's replacement, whose name is escaping me right now.
Carmen Wright. Carmen Wright.
Exactly. And she seems very competent, and Chris Blunk is thrilled to have her. She has a lot of related experience. And I try to hold their feet to the fire regarding the rules and regulations. It has gone on years now since the last draft was given to them. I think it's been 3 years. And it is now on Chris Blunk's desk. Okay. He apologized. They're understaffed, overworked. Okay. There is a brand new city attorney. The previous city attorney, I think his name is Jeff Walter, has been the city attorney for 28 years. It's now been handed over to this new person whose name escapes me, but he's been working with, I think it's Jeff Walter, and who is staying there during the transition to get him acclimated. Chris Blunk has promised to get the rules and regs off his desk and to the desk of the city attorney. We'll see.
Right. We also had the opportunity to bring up the clubhouse roof, and those of you who went to the New Year's Eve party, you noticed that the roof was leaking in the ballroom. And Matt notes that there are several other places, and the city had been thinking about putting it off until another year. And we addressed that issue with them in the sense that the pool is heated by solar during the summer. And last summer, because of the decrepit nature of the roof, the solar heating could not be replaced or renewed. So therefore, we've had to heat the water with gas all summer long. So you can imagine what the cost is of heating that swimming pool with gas. So we brought all this up to Chris, and fortunately, he found perhaps a solution that because the cost of renewing the roof for the clubhouse and for the pool area is under $200,000, because Matt had gotten some preliminary quotes for having this work done. His recollection is that he can, because it's a city quote unquote owned property, he can have his maintenance part of the city actually contract and have it done. So we're waiting to hear back how far that has moved along, so that we can get that work done as soon as the weather breaks in the springtime, so that two things can happen. One, we can go forward with getting solar on the roof, and two, we can actually use the solar for heating the pool rather than burning gas in order to do so. So we're looking also to, there was a infrastructure plan that he had solicited from an outside agency that he had received, and that he was reviewing it before passing it on to the Helsing Group and Matt and the PAC board. And evidently he had gotten through it. And at that meeting, we had asked him, is he prepared to pass it on to Matt? And in that meeting, he said that he would do so. And as of today, Matt has not received it, but I emailed him again today asking him to go ahead and do that, because we want to get our eyes on that, because there's a lot of projects, including solar for the clubhouse, that we want to see when we can actually implement them. Matt, can you think of anything else that came up that is something that we can report on?
I think the majority of it you've touched on. It was really about topics that have been continually on the agenda over the past meetings in regards to rules and regs and spending, attorney use, everything you've been discussing. I think that they have such an influx of new staff members and people that move on to other departments or other cities that they really struggle with completing a lot of the tasks that they start. And I think bureaucracy at the city of Novato, you know, each decision takes maybe 6 desks to look at it. It's not, and then you need approval of city manager, then it needs to go to council. So there's a lot of steps before it actually gets to where they can either just give you the thumbs up because it's in the delegation or management agreement, or if it gets to the point where they can submit to council and a staff report where they can actually get a vote. So yeah, I think over the last several years, things have kind of slowed down quite a bit in that regard. But we definitely need a roof. I've been lobbying with the city, and they did put the money in the budget after some time, but it's over my spending limit. We've got a competent group that is willing to do the work, and we've used that group before on other stuff. So it's just a matter of them either contracting it out themselves or allowing us to step outside of the delegation and management agreement and getting it done. But there's leaks all over. They're in the kitchen, the breezeway, the ballroom. Really do need a new room.
Absolutely.
I mean, maybe this isn't,
Yes, Carol Joy, do you have a comment?
maybe this isn't the right place to say this, but you know, I wonder how many other city buildings have leaks all over them. You know what I mean? If it was their department, their roof would get fixed. I'm just saying that a lot of times I feel like we're treated like the, I don't know, whatever, ugly stepchildren or whatever the saying is, the last on the list.
I think they do the best they can with what they have. If somebody asked directly, I would say that other buildings are probably very similar.
Oh,
And they
really?
have to, yeah, and they have
Okay,
to go
I
through
feel
the
better
same.
now.
reporting and they have to go through the same processes, and they take worst first.
Yeah,
You know,
okay.
it's should be done because it's just going to cause damage and that needs to be
Yeah,
repaired.
that's
and
what- That's what I was thinking, Matt.
Yeah,
Let's move on a little bit to what we received in terms of what's going on with the pump station. The pump station is being
I have a-
held in abeyance because of the weather.
I have a comment. I have a comment, please.
we're still talking, we're still reporting on the 2x2, Ellen.
Okay,
Thank you, Ellen. So what we learned is that not only is there a problem with getting the material to renew the pump station and the weather, but also there seems to be some sort of a problem with the contractor that they have contracted with to do the work. So it's like they're pushing hard, both legally and to try and find alternate sources for the control panels for that, so that they have all the materials on hand. So when the weather breaks, they can go ahead and work on it. But there seems to be a lot of different things going on that are delaying the preparation and the actual construction of that pump station. But believe me, Matt and the PAC board is very much concerned with getting the work done as soon as possible. And Ellen, you want to say something?
well, yeah, I'm just speculating a little bit, but remember how many of you were here when we were ready to own the park, and then Jerry Brown got rid of the redevelopment agencies and the city of Novato had to take us over, and we were, you know, we were ready to own the park. I'm just wondering, maybe this is a question for Steve, like how much has it cost us to be under the city of Novato since they took us over? How many millions of dollars have we had to pay them instead of, you know, being on our own? Just throwing that out there, rhetorical question.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that requires a lot of discussion for sure. I mean, we do benefit from having their oversight, and we also benefit from not having to actually do the work that in fact they do. And although you have such a great PAC board now, who knows what the ownership committee or the ownership board would be for the park. So having it one step removed may not be a bad deal, but unfortunately, because of what Matt mentioned, the problems with personnel and oversight and bureaucracy with the city, things are slow
And costly.
and costly. Yes.
Well, yeah, but let's not forget, we just got $3 million in our lap from the federal funds that were for city projects. So 3 million is a lot for us.
Have you
Let's not
seen
forget
that
that.
yet, Steve?
The 3 million is a lot, but we haven't seen it yet. And
Well-
like my grandfather used to say, talk is cheap, whiskey costs money. So I'm waiting to see that $3 million in our reserves. All right, let's move on to project planning. John Hanson and myself. John, do you have anything?
No, I'll just say what you were going to say, I think, and that is that, you know, we got a lot of projects stacking up potentially that we really can't do anything until things get ironed out with the pump station and the everything else that we're trying to deal with right now.
Yeah, exactly. In other words, until we can get the city to allow us to finance the projects that we have in mind, it's difficult when they are looking at millions of dollars to renew and maintain the park based on reports that are prepared outside of the park and prepared by people who don't set foot in the park. So, you know, we've got a lot of things to really look into before we can move forward, but believe us, we are actually very much concerned with it and pushing for it. And with that, if anyone has any questions, please. Seeing none, John, do you have anything for Invest this month?
Yeah, I wanted to say that, yeah, we're starting again this year, and I think MVES is going to be a little more active than it was in the past, especially now that we get past the COVID situation, which that appears to be happening. So we spend our time, I think, fairly wisely in the last year, getting things organized to move on forward, so that we're being a much better position, I think, to get information out to residents, timely information for identification of hazards. When are hazards most likely, and identification of the latest and greatest mitigation preparedness measures. We have some resources that we'll be offering as well along the way. So I think we'll just be a lot better organized, and we'll also be doing some trainings coming up this year. And we also will have some in-park volunteer emergency services as well. But those are all still yet to be defined, and it's early stages for talking about that right now. And we're also staying connected with the emergency service community throughout Marin, and to some extent beyond, with with Fire Safe Marin and county services and the volunteers active in disasters organizations and so forth. So all of this will keep us well connected with the emergency services communities, and keep us right on top of things. Something else I wanted to mention was, tomorrow we're going to be seeing a new storm come in, and the amount of water we're going to get from the storm, probably less than what we saw on New Year's Eve. But the storm on New Year's Eve was like dropping a cup of water into a sponge that wasn't totally wet. Now that sponge is wet, so it doesn't take much water now dropping on it that it's going to make a puddle. So with that analogy, we can predict, I think, that there is going to be problems from this storm. And there's also going to be a high wind warning. There is a high wind warning actually right now, but we will see high winds. We usually don't see major windstorms here in the valley. We're somewhat protected where we are, but we do get gusts from those storms. We can expect to see wind gusts tomorrow. Some of them may be very significant ones. So with that, I would just like to put it out to everybody, if they don't have it already, to secure everything. If there's a possibility of it blowing away, even some of your fairly heavy duty outdoor furniture, gust of wind can come on and pick it up and donate it to the neighbors, perhaps. We can also anticipate power outage tomorrow evening. With the again with the high winds, the saturated ground, we can expect that there will be trees down over power lines, and there will be power outages most likely. So we're prepared for that. MVES will be down at the clubhouse whenever there's a power out, and to enable residents to come in, warm up, charge their devices and so forth. And the only other thing I want to mention that is that, yeah, it's going to be nasty out there. I think we're in pretty good shape here in the park, but if you leave the park, there's going to be trees down, puddles, other drivers that don't respect the storms, perhaps, however you want to put it. It's going to be a dangerous place out there. So stay home if you possibly can. Work from home, stay home. That's my report.
Yeah, John, like to make one comment. You said in the beginning that COVID is handled. I mean, what I like read in the newspaper today, that there's 10 new variants to COVID in Marin right now, and that it doesn't really seem like it's gone away. I think.
Well, you're right. You're right, Jay. It hasn't gone away. It's still here. Actually, the variants that have been found have been in the sewage sampling program in the county, which is really nice for finding, what's where, but it really doesn't say, who has COVID and what the situation is. But the hospitals are doing much better now with COVID. The deaths reported from COVID are diminished substantially. So yeah, we're not out of the woods yet, but it's promising. I think that's more what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I'm curious because we had this discussion earlier about having the PAC board in a hybrid meeting where actually we invite the public to come in as opposed to Zoom. And I'm very concerned about these public events being spreader events. So, we're going to look into it.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm still not ready to have public, meetings that are not absolutely necessary. And I don't know where Carol Joy got her information, but hopefully there will be some option to continue in a situation where there's a demographic like ours that's highly vulnerable to the pandemic.
Right. Thank you, John. Any other comments from the board? Any comments from the residents? Okay, thank you. John Feld, can I ask for a HOL report?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, we have our meeting tomorrow, which everybody's welcome to. It's a Zoom meeting. We had intended to have it in person, but we've been told that the threats are becoming more significant, so we're going to do it on Zoom. A couple of things to tell you about. Chair Yoga starts on January 12th at 10 a.m. in the ballroom.
Thursday.
That's a Thursday. And we've invited Ellen Jane to come and do a short presentation on the need for recycling, which is a result from last month's PAC meeting. And other than that, we're just going ahead. We still have the play in process. We're having discussions about world culture and also grandparents and grandchildren meetings in the clubhouse, maybe once or twice a year. That's about it, really. And there's, of course, biography nights happening all the time. And we have a new person running the Just 1 Hour program. That's Lisa Jackler. She's taken over from Marlene, who did a wonderful job, and Lisa is also doing a wonderful job. That's about it. If you've got any questions, I'd be pleased to answer them.
No questions. Maybe Ellen, you're going to tell us a little bit about what you're going to talk about at that meeting on recycling. You're muted though, in 3 minutes or less.
I'm muted. Yeah. I have not heard back from my contact, which it's been 2 months, and he sent me electronic, very nice visuals, like 5 of them. He said he was going to send print copies, and 'cause I don't have a computer or means to print them. I've been in touch with him twice, and saying, "Are you okay?" I haven't gotten anything. And then I called him again last week, and he was on vacation. And actually, Lisa Lisa Jackler spoke with me and said that she knows somebody who used to work for Marin Recycling, and that I should just forget about it because the truth is that the things that are put in the recycle, about 7% of the stuff is recycled. So I'm not sure where to go with that because it's, you know, again, I put on my little Greta Thunberg hat, and it's like, you know, the microplastics and all this plastic, and that we have plastic inside of us. And I don't know whether there's any, people just don't seem to care. They think, well, I'll just throw it in there and they'll do with it what they want. And they don't account for okay, that takes more people and then our costs go up. So that's where I am today. And by tomorrow, maybe this guy will be back in touch with me and I can get some clarity on whether they care or not.
Okay, thank you, Ellen.
Thank you.
All right, Marvell, Carolyn Corey, or Vicky.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to report on behalf of Carolyn Corey. She says Marvell has completed a wonderful holiday season of celebrations. She'd like to thank so many that have helped make this a very special time for residents. Events coming up are the winter warm-up, which is on January 21st. There'll be chili and cornbread. Be sure you check the Echo for details, and sign up for deadline is January 18th. She says, join us at Pub for some exciting new events. There's going to be Finger Fridays coming soon. So stay tuned for further details. And the one I really like is Spotify is working great. And Marvell is happy to take musical requests. So do get them in. And that's it for this month.
Oh, thank you, Vic. Any questions? And lastly, call on Steve to talk a little bit about the PAC board election that's coming up.
I think actually I was in charge of the potential PAC board election last year, so I would be one of
Standing
the-
committee.
Yes, it's a standing committee, I believe.
The committee is available, but I won't be the one in charge of the election.
Oh, because are you one of the people who's up for election?
Vicky and I, yes.
Oh. And when, remind me, when is the planning for that? Is in March and April?
At the earliest, yes.
Something has to happen by February.
I can get you a timetable.
Yeah, if you could remind us by sending us that would be great. And then maybe by the February meeting, one of the other three of us will say, oh, I'll do that. I'm
Right.
concerned about the timetable because of my travel schedule. So that's, yeah.
We have a standing committee, and last time I got Timo to be the chairman of that committee. So it's possible she's still on board. She knew that it was a permanent kind of thing. So it should be doable if we end up having an election.
Okay, and so Steve and Vicky are up for, okay.
Yeah, and Timo's been sick. We'll have, maybe we can contact her in the coming days to find out
No rush.
if she's still on board.
Oh, well,
And
There's
we
no
should-
rush?
we're gonna, no,
Yeah, not much really happened.
Timo was on that board last year, and she may be eligible to be on it this year to organize things, and we'll contact her in the next days, but it'll be on the agenda for next month, and we can start it up.
right.
John?
Yeah, I think that, I think there is no rush actually, because I think what we need to do in February is have the committee selected. And since we have a standing committee, it sort of takes care of that.
Right,
John?
but we need someone, we need a board member to be the overseer.
Steve can do that.
No, he can't, he's running.
No, he can do it anyway.
No, it
Yes.
says right in the instructions that I can't.
Okay. Steve can't do that.
We'll sort it out next month. we'll
Yeah.
look into it and sort it out, having it on the agenda next month. Okay,
John had a question.
oh, yeah, right, sorry, John.
I just had a comment that I was at a meeting with Timo today and she is healthy again.
Oh,
That's all.
good.
She's fine.
All right. All right, so no old business, no new business. There'll be a meeting of the PAC board next February 7th, same time. And we will learn more about the Brown Act, and we'll learn more about the elections that are going to be held for the 2 members of the PAC board. So can I call for adjournment?
So
Carol,
moved. I moved to adjourn.
and second. All right. So I will see you February 7th at 2023.